How difficult was it to admit this publicly?
Very difficult. It was really difficult because partly I wasn't aware of how bad it looked from the outside. I think things are always, you can see things clearer in hindsight, I guess. And I had actually put out a YouTube video a couple of weeks ago, and it was underneath that. The YouTube video was basically just about me watching, sort of like commenting on some of the things that had been said about me in the past. It was kind of like a funny video that a fan put together. But when people started commenting under it, it was kind of like brought to my attention that I was treated very unfairly. And I always knew it myself, but I had just succumbed to the idea that I was sort of suffering in silence and no one from the outside noticed. I felt really unseen. And I probably felt like they wouldn't have believed me if I spoke up anyway. So yeah, it was really difficult. It wasn't easy. I tried to edit the video down from like an hour down to 14 minutes, and I feel very relieved in a way now that I've been able to speak.
So at the time, you just internalized it, Keisha. There wasn't anyone you could say, not even Mutya or Heidi. You couldn't speak to anyone?
I definitely brought attention to the team as far as, articles, if they were written and why they had come out, and I was always reassured, of the person who I was behind closed doors. I said this before, that the girls have always been very supportive of me behind the scenes. Even when, as teenage girls, you do fall out, I think it's different if we're talking about, an incident where we have fallouts, but you always, just like in any relationship, whether the person is a good person. And I think, the girls were very supportive at the time in saying, Keisha, just ignore the press and, we know who you are. So in a way, I kind of felt as though, why should I really speak up publicly if, the quote was, today's news will be tomorrow's chip paper. So, yes, to answer your question, I definitely shared, some of my concerns. Mutya also did it as well, and that was also the response that we always kind of got.
But it's a all too familiar trope, isn't it, Keisha? The angry black woman or the angry black man. It's something that people like to jump on, don't they?
Yeah, it's definitely a common thread. I think that the issue is that we are all very different, right? As human beings, we're all very different. Indeed. And I think that what happens is that when you are a black person, if one black person in the history of black famous people gets angry, every person is labelled as that. Whereas I think it's completely different if you're a white girl and you get angry, or you are expressing yourself, I guess, in a passionate way. It's kind of it's not really seen as harshly as it is for women of colour. So I totally agree. It's very, very different for us.
And at that time, presumably, the people around you, just didn't understand that you were being treated differently? Or yes, they knew that you were being treated differently, but they wouldn't have accepted that was because of your colour?
I guess so. I think that would be a question for them to answer, really.
Yeah.
But I would say that, those who have been publicly supportive of me, it's sort of out there for people to see who has and who hasn't.
Did you feel protected, Keisha?
No.
Right.
No, not at all. I never did. I didn't understand that, and remember, just even outside of, me being in a group, I do have brothers and aunts and uncles and cousins. I've got best friends I know, since I was a kid. I've always been a girl's girl. Me and my friends, even now, as I say, me and my friend had a debate last week, and we were a bit salty with each other for a few hours, and then it's all love because we still love each other. And I couldn't understand that, teenage disputes could be treated so harshly, judged so harshly. And of course, I'm disappointed that I feel like I didn't get the protection publicly, and that was showed. Like I had protection like behind the scenes. I had people defending me behind the scenes, but no one ever sort of, showed that publicly. So that was quite disappointing.
What effect did that have on your confidence?
Wow. It really affected me badly because it made me very defensive. If you sort of see, you look at old interviews, the way that I used to sort of cover my embarrassment was with defensiveness, I guess. So if we walk into an interview and they're like, oh, so, who hits you? Which one's the bully of the group? Or are you guys afraid? I just knew that was, aimed at me. And I think the way that I would deal with it, publicly anyway, is to kind of put a fence on to hopefully hide the fact that I wasn't hurt. And then I would just either go into the bathroom, whether it was a TV show or whatever, and I'd cry in the bathroom. And then my mum would get me back together, or my friends outside of the group would get me back together, and I'd go back, and just put a brave face on. It definitely leaked over into just my day-to-day life and how I would deal with people. It made me very paranoid of voicing my opinion. I found it very hard to keep up eye contact. I found it very hard to speak up to accountants if I noticed certain things were looking a bit dishonest. It made me very, to this day, when I've met some amazing people, I've got amazing friends around me, and they can attest to the fact that it's taken them probably like a very long time for me to be able to be completely trusting of them, because I'm always double checking, like, are you sure, like, you're not offended by, whatever I said. It's made me very nervous and made me allow people to get away with a lot of things. Yeah, I've spoken about it on the video that there were times where, someone has stolen from me, people have taken advantage, and then they've used that word almost as, well, you're being very difficult, and or everyone always said that you were going to be difficult, things like that. And I'm like, okay, keep it then. And so, yeah, it definitely has affected me, but I'm working through those things now, and I'm a very optimistic person, and I know that now, especially now that I'm able to express some of this stuff off my chest, I'll be in a completely different place, in time.
If you look back on that decade that you were in the Sugababes from the very beginning, do you look back on that time with fondness, with regret, with sadness? What are the emotions that come to mind? Because it should be the happiest time of your life, right? You're living a dream that so many young people want to live. You got hit after hit, adulation from many people, but there is this cloud over you.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much spot on. It does feel like that. I have mixed emotions about everything, if I'm honest. And I think it's mainly because I obviously have had an amazing career. I'm very, very grateful. I've had a wonderful time, but sometimes I feel like those times and the good parts of our friendship that we had, the good parts of, the times when they've leaned on me and I've been there for them in so many, on so many occasions, but I feel like that had been overshadowed with a lot of, of the negative stuff. So how do I feel about it? I guess I feel mixed. I've got mixed emotions, but obviously very proud of everything that, I've achieved.
And of course, unlike now, where you could control your own narrative, back then, it certainly at the beginning, it was controlled for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. As much as I feel like social media disconnects a lot of us, we just spend time on that and not really speaking with each other face to face and stuff. I definitely feel like it's been a blessing